Thank you guys for stopping by. Appreciate you guys for your visitation. I want you guys to watch this video. This Ojulivia TV guy, he has so much to say regarding what is happening in the grand community, the good news, the bad news, the ugly news, hopes, and whatever you may call it. I want you guys to watch this video. And on whose authority is he speaking? Is it from the UAG or other donors agency? I want you guys to watch this video and tell me what you think. Do you think what he's saying is the right thing, or do you think is the opposite side? This is not the time to judge. I just want your personal opinion by the time you listen. Watch this video. Read what he's saying and see how it's going to benefit you or any other person close to you that you know is a subscriber to Grant. Okay, watch this video and let's continue this conversation in the comment section. Appreciate you guys for stopping by, and bye for now.
I'm so excited to be here with you today. Actually, not so excited because of the recent occurrences in the grant ecosystem. Although it holds both good news and bad news. And as usual, we will build our strength around the good news while discarding the bad news. 3 specific events is ongoing in this ecosystem for the past 7 days. The new entitlement of recipients and NGO CEOs. Then, deepening silence in the grant ecosystem. And again, the new dates of disbursement as resolved by the government committee. Let's look at the new entitlement of recipients and NGO CEOs. There are 2 news circulating. The first news holds that the entitlement of recipients has been reviewed from 2.5 million naira to 1 million naira, and the entitlement of NGO is penciled at 250 million naira. Then there is equally another news holding that the entitlement of recipient is adjusted from 50,000 to 300,000 naira, while the entitlement of NGO CEOs is penciled at 20 million or 50 million naira. What is the truth between the two? And the truth is, none of these 2 information is actually true, because at the moment, the government committee is not revealing the new entitlement for recipients and NGO to anybody. Remember, the federal government of Nigeria has already set up new bodies, different from the one we know before, to act as a chairman to oversee disbursement of these grants to the ecosystem. So these new bodies are purely administrative wing of the federal government in charge of financial issues. Bodies regulating financial activities like the NFIU and the CBN. So these bodies are very strict. They don't talk to anybody. The whole news of 300,000 to recipients or 1 million naira are mere speculations. The new formula is going to come up in the new week we are going. Yeah, this is July. People were expecting disbursements on June. Unfortunately, the activity of certain persons in this ecosystem has caused some certain audience of people the advantages that was queuing up to be delivered to the masses. And that is why you are perceiving the silence, the deafening silence since few days ago. The tide is turning. The tide is not favoring some people anymore. Certain names that you know were authorities in this ecosystem to control what you need are no more saddled with this responsibility. The greedy, the wickedness, the hatred, the fighting, the conflict that looms among themselves has cost them a generational fortune. And you won't say this is anybody's activity. We use our hands to destroy ourselves. Black people don't always value opportunities when they see one. They allow self-centeredness, greed, tribalism, egotism, pride to outclass the advantages and the prayer that God has already answered for them. In this life, it's not all about someone prophesying to you. You need to conduct yourself in a way that allows this prophecy to manifest. Prophecy prophesied without you presenting yourself or conducting yourself in a more godly and unified manner will imply prophecy not fulfilled. You might pray, you might fast. Yes, it is true. If there is a man to pray, then there is equally a God to answer. But God answers those who present themselves worthy of the advantages that they are seeking for. I've never seen anyone from the olden times that are so arrogant, so material, and so self-centered that see good things in the hands of God. What is going to occur in this ecosystem in the ensuing days is going to serve as a lifetime lesson to so many people who are authorities and leaders in this country. The most disturbing thing at the moment is why the delay, because you don't even know if the grant is going to be disbursed as was speculated, as was envisioned. Nobody is aware right now if for certain there will be disbursement, except certain few people that are very close to authority. That is why I said the silence ongoing in this ecosystem hold both bad news and good news. For the bad news, have already addressed some part of it. The new decision of the government committee or authorities is not favoring some certain people in this ecosystem. While the good news is that there is going to be disbursement. Then the next question will be, what is causing the delay? Yes, it shall have happened in June, the first week in July, and nobody is coming to address the masses. Yes, earlier in the week, the UAAG country director, Apostle Ambassador Ken Wakama, scheduled a meeting with the NGO CEOs. It was anticipated that the meeting is going to usher in the broadcast that will usher in disbursement. But unfortunately, the meeting was indefinitely cancelled. And people are not asking questions. Why was a very decisive meeting indefinitely cancelled in this ecosystem? 5 days gone by, no new date is scheduled. It's evident that so many things has gone wrong. Again, before this meeting, in this ecosystem, we witnessed a broadcast by Comrade Abdul of the AGPGN. Like people project in the WhatsApp group, they were thinking the broadcast of Comrade Abdul will usher in disbursement of palliative, while the meeting of the UAAG country director, Apostle Ambassador Ken Wakama, should usher in disbursement of grants. But at this moment, no disbursement of the grants, no disbursement of the palliative. The government has actually approved the disbursement of the palliative. But there are certain review and adjustment that is ongoing, both from the data that was submitted to them and the portal to be used for this disbursement. Remember, earlier in this process, it was revealed that the data that was submitted or the schedule that was submitted to the government authorities for disbursement was full of repetitions, malpractices, NGO repeated in multiple places, recipients of the grant repeated in multiple places in the schedule, which shall lead to one person receiving alert as NGO CEO in more than 10 or 15 places, and that shall have denied some certain NGOs the privilege of receiving this disbursement. Therefore, on noticing this government new committee are now reviewing this data. They are not using the former template for disbursement. They are using the government portal, the one that sends the BVN and the NIN of the NGOs. So disbursement will now take place through the government portal. A given NGO will only receive alert once. Hence, it will go around to a whole lot of NGOs. Remember, this money, a certain percentage, which we have spelled out before, about 25 or 30% of the entire amount, is penciled down for disbursement to the masses as palliative. And this particular 25 or 30% will be disbursed to a certain number of NGOs. it might be between 5,000 or 10,000 NGOs. Therefore, anyone that is telling the masses for sure that it is going to be 50,000, 300,000 or 1 million naira is merely speculating, because the government authorities haven't actually come up with the total number of NGOs to be disbursed to. It is on knowing the total number of these NGOs, they will divide this 25 or 30% of the entire money to the number of these NGOs. Then they divide it again to the total number of beneficiaries. That is where anyone can boast of knowing the entitlements of a recipient or NGO. For example, if we have about 5,000 NGO to be disbursed to, then that implies 5 million recipients, with one NGO accommodating 1,000 recipients. So in such a case, when this, say, 5,000 is come up with, certainly, then you now divide 25 or 30% of this grant to the 5 million beneficiaries, or 8 million beneficiaries, even 10 million beneficiaries, as the case may be. That is when you can now say, yes, a given recipient will receive this amount. Every other figure circulating are mere speculations at the moment. This new activity, the review of this data and the arrangement of a new portal to be used for this disbursement, has spanned few days ago and ended on Friday. Friday was the 5th of July 2024. At least with that successful completion of that new arrangement, we are expecting that July is the month for disbursement. Having achieved this, the next thing this committee is looking at are those projects, the states and the local government where the project is going to be executed. Too many questions is already circulating. Who are those being selected to participate in the project? And who are those going to serve as the state, the regional, and the local government coordinators? This is another area that is constituting delay at the moment. Selection of people across the 36 states and across the 774 local governments is not going to be an easy task. But as we already know, disbursement is going to start first, being succeeded by the project. But these two events is going to be flagged off at the same day. What the government authorities were doing were to streamline those policies that favors the kick-off of disbursement, and July was penciled down. A date for disbursement has already been fixed, only that governments don't communicate the date of this disbursement in July to the masses. So for those that are troubling themselves if disbursement is going to happen, owing to the silence and delay everywhere, it's quite far from that thinking. Disbursement has already been settled. A date is fixed. You will see the symptoms of disbursement in the new week we are already facing. The first week in July is already off. We are now facing this second week of July. Going by the recent meeting few days ago, I don't think disbursement will surpass this second week of July. But July has been penciled and approved as the month of disbursement in this ecosystem and the execution of the project. Don't trouble yourself if disbursement is still going to take place. Hold down your faith, because the government has signed it. For those arguing that how can the federal government approve disbursement and the CBN governor still review that approval, you have to understand that government approved disbursement to be taken place, but mandate the CBN authorities to review and streamline those financial policies that will ensure there is successful disbursement of this grant without upsetting economic indices. Therefore, the CBN governor is already doing that. Like those sophisticated devices that are being deployed at the moment is to ensure every NGO CEOs is monitored, and taking up these data in Excel template, rendering them in sophisticated devices in the CBN portal consumes days too. But thank God that period is over. The essence of this is to ensure every CEO in this country is monitored. Governments don't play around money in the hands of civilians. when money is being churned out into the accounts of civilians, especially with the ongoing terrorism, kidnapping, and nepotism in this country. They are striving to ensure everyone is monitored. Like those CBN authorities, they don't just want to churn out the money into the account of NGO. If anything goes wrong, the first authority to be questioned and hold responsible is the CBN, then the NFIU, and the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. And these people don't want to play around with their work. Nobody wants to lose his or her job in this country. So when you notice delay, not as if this activity is not ongoing. As I've always said, the process of disbursement started since the 10th of June and is continuous. They have passed so many hurdles. We are now in the very final stage. So the disbursement is going to happen like level pounds. I sense this second week of July holds the good news everyone in this ecosystem has been anticipating. Despite what you are hearing everywhere, hold and build your strength around the good news. I'm giving you this good news with full confidence from verified sources. Disbursement of this grant has been approved and is approved to be disbursed in July. I sense it is taking place in this second week. Within this same July, the NGO CEOs might have disbursed this money to every recipient account. Hold your ground. Blind your ears from every speculations and news that meant to increase or aggravate our health state. Disbursement is here and is taking place in this July.